Richardson and Wrench Springwood. Call Ty or Janelle on 3808 8878.
The Monday Morning Show with Mike Bennett on Logan City's 101 FM.
Always nice to have listeners that you know are actually listening. So good morning to Deborah Fay. And Deborah and I spent some quality time together a few weeks ago up at Makepeace Island. And Deborah, thank you very much for your ongoing support. And I know that the current Mrs. B is looking forward to catching up with you at some stage as well. So it's always great when you get recommendations for people that want to come into the studio, and especially when it's subjects that are relevant to so many of us that have got kids, maybe even grandkids. So this lady, lots of people recommended Paula Burgess comes in, have a chat with us. And first of all, I'm going to say welcome to 101 FM.
Thanks very much, Mike. Thanks for having me here.
And you've had a journey and a half, haven't you?
I sure have.
I tell you what, I mean, everybody thinks, you look on the map, you look Redcliffe, Deception Bay, it's just over the way, but it can be a bit of a nightmare. So thank you for making the journey today.
That's okay. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so clearly the clue, I'm guessing, is in the title. The title of your book is Beyond the ADHD Label, One Mother's Struggle for Change. That'll be you then?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so give us just a little bit of background on the struggle.
Yeah, so basically my son is currently 8 years old and was diagnosed living with ADHD at around 5 or 6 years old. But it started back in when he was 4 years of age. He actually was expelled from daycare. Okay. So people sort of all of a sudden went, oh, hang on, something's wrong here, sure, because 4-year-olds don't get expelled from daycare normally, just on bad behaviour. So we went down the trail. We've got ADHD in the family. We went down the trail to have a look at it and see if it was there. Got the diagnosis, and basically I just found there was very little support for parents out there. So that's sort of where I am today.
And it's really interesting as well, because my previous guest, we were chatting about that doctors in particular like to put labels on things. Yes. And then it's easy because then they can dish out, okay, so here's some tablets to suppress your child and to make them sleep for 18 hours a day, and that everybody will be happy then, but it shouldn't be like that. No. So in terms of support, where did you start, first of all? Where did you start looking?
Basically, I started looking on the internet to see what was out there, and you're dead right. As you sort of go to the doctor, they like to put the label on, but unfortunately that's society. So to enable your child to get the help, you need that label. I fought that label for many, many years, whatever label it was going to be, whether it was ADHD, ODD, ASD, whatever. I fought it for quite a while, and then I decided that society needs that label to get the support. So basically I started with my GP, and we went from there, and now we have a psychologist, a psychiatrist. We've gone through a dietitian and naturopath. You name it, I think we've done it.
There is so much that you can try. But ADHD itself, now going back to sort of my day, and for example, you're in the supermarket and you see a child that, is just going into one and having a tantrum. In my day, you turn around and say, that parent needs to give that one a good slap. It's not actually like that, because this is something, is it a chemical in the brain that causes the problem?
Yeah, so there's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and basically if you smacking a child is not going to help.
No,
it actually makes it 10 times worse, sure, because they're going to retaliate against that. And most of the time that behaviour is brought about by an environment that they can't control, and they feel out of control, and whether it's a sensory environment or they just can't make sense of it, that's generally the problem. And yes, unfortunately that stigma is there, where parents are just bad parents, and it's not the case at all.
And yourself, it doesn't matter how old your children are, when they're young in particular, they are going to play up outside, yes, because that's what kids do. So what were the initial symptoms? I mean, obviously there was something leading up to getting expelled from play school. What were the symptoms leading up to that?
Yeah, so basically about from the age of 3, we started having a few social issues where he just wasn't really playing as a 3-year-old should with the children. And by sort of about halfway through 3.5, 4, we started having big social issues where there was hitting, kicking, biting. He'd formed himself a little gang, as I call it, in daycare, where there was 4 children. He was the leader. He was encouraging them to do things, running around naked all the time because he didn't want his clothes on, all the sensory stuff, social stuff, everything like that. So we had many, many appointments with the daycares to try and set out strategies and things, and then all of a sudden they put everything in place, and they just said, we just can't have him anymore, he's got to be moved on.
Which again, sort of playing devil's advocate, seeing it from their point
Absolutely.
of view, that are parents, you can appreciate that as well.
Yep.
So a lot of similar signs to autism, to being on that spectrum as well, because we know we used to look after a boy that had autism, and in particular taking the clothes off. They live next door, and we used to leave the door open in the summer, and every so often you'd hear this running up the stairs, Ben's here, and he'd be bouncing up and down in the bed with no clothes on and whatever. So to obviously make that distinction between autism or the spectrum and ADHD, what kind of tests did he have to go through?
Basically, we just did lots of testing with psychologists and psychiatrists and just assessments. So we've done no official testing. It's over a matter of time, and the reports from schools and daycares and things, we're still looking at the ASD option, I guess, but it's not enough there to tip him over to that ASD. But ADHD, most definitely, out of all the traits of everything, he showed more signs of ADHD than anything else.
So as a parent, I mean, it's difficult enough bringing kids up anytime that don't have any special needs, as it were. I mean, how hard is it?
It's really hard, very, very hard. I'm a little bit at an advantage where I have 3 stepchildren, and my eldest stepchild, who is now 31, he also lives with ADHD. So I was kind of, I guess, inducted into that when I met my husband 20 years ago. So, but it's very, very hard. I mean, only the other day I was driving home from somewhere and my son was his behaviour was escalating. I'm sitting at the traffic lights bawling my eyes out because it just got too much for me.
It's frustration, isn't it?
It's frustrating. And trying to understand where they're coming from, as well as dealing with the society and the looks that people give you.
And that's the trouble. And it goes, and again, I can sort of relate this to our former neighbour back in the UK. When Ben goes into one, he goes into one, and you can see people looking, and his mum has no choice but to stop doing whatever she's doing, get in the car and go home.
Yes.
And it really is difficult. So obviously you decided, okay, I've got this information, I'm going to write about it.
Yep.
How helpful was that to you to actually get it all down on paper?
It was actually quite helpful. I still, to this day, if I read parts of the book, I still cry.
Sure.
So obviously I haven't worked through all of that yet.
I don't know that you ever will, to
probably
be honest.
Not. No, probably not. So it was very helpful, and just the feedback I'm getting from people as well to say it's a fantastic book to read because there's no medical jargon in there. It's written by a parent who really understands what the road is, because it's a long, hard road, and just being able to deal with everything as I went through and being able to put it down on paper was just amazing journey.
And also to know, and again, as a parent, it's interesting you mentioned step parents. I've got 3 stepkids. And I tell you what, for that first 15 years, you think, why am I doing this? Parenting is hard enough. Being a step-parent is even harder.
Very. So
to have that to deal with and also to have this, it must have been very, very difficult. Support network, I'm guessing, from the rest of the family, though.
Yeah, support network was good. As I said, my stepchildren are now adults, and they're amazing with him. And I took on 3 stepchildren when I was 20, so that was a big journey.
Sure.
And my mum's just amazing. She knows how to read my son, and she knows when I'm escalating, which means he'll escalate with me because I'm struggling with him. And she just steps in and says, "Walk away, I'll take care of this." So
which is great, and you need that. But I know there's a lot of people that be listening today that don't have that.
No.
What's your advice to a mum or even a dad or any parent that's going through and they know the signs are there, you can see any minute now he's going to go into one?
Yep.
What do you do?
Yep. Talk to the education areas. So if he's in daycare, talk to them. If he's in schools, talk to them. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Ask the questions, see what they think. Talk to your GP, because that's where it's going to start, your GP. And then make sure you have a GP that you are confident with and you are confident they know their stuff. Don't be afraid to move GPs if you think that they don't know what you're talking about and not going to give you the help that you need, because they're the 2 main factors. You need help from your GP to be able to give you the referrals that you need, and you need help from the educational institution to support you in your child's journey and to give you direction on what's happening at school or daycare.
Absolutely. And it's important as well, because people tend to, it's not a bad thing to trust your GP, but they'll take, if they say it's not that, oh, well, he knows what he's talking about. They don't know everything. No. So you're right. And don't be afraid to change. So very briefly then, the book itself, where is that available? On
my website, which is beyondthemaze.com.au at the moment. And so you can order it through there and we'll just send them out to you.
Which, and again, just to as we've said this on so many things that we've talked about here, to know you're not alone. You're not the only one that's going through this. It must be comforting.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And I've got support groups that I also run. So, and there's not a lot out there. So, and you get good friends as well. Like, your friends will support you as much as they can. And if they can't, then they're not the right friends for you, because they need to understand you.
Exactly. Paula, as I expected, a joy to chat to you. It's a subject that, again, we could talk about reasons and things that you can do and diet and all that stuff, so we might have to get you back again to discuss that. But it's something that a lot of people go through. Definitely. And they don't know where to turn, and hopefully your book will help in that.
Thank you very much.
So, Paula Burgess, if you want to know a little bit more about how to contact Paula, you can give us a ring right here at 101 FM. We'll get Paula to leave her details on reception, 3808 1101. If any of the subjects that we've been talking about this morning have affected you, if there's something that is of interest to you, then just give us a call. That's what we're here for at 101 FM.